ओम श्रुति स्मृति पुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शंकरं लोकशंकरं शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेद विभागिने व्योमवत् व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। So chant together Gita Dhyanam. Om पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीं अम्ब त्वाम् अनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी। नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावः दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः। Yeah, Mohan, Sai Krishna, to chant along. पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटं नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितं लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरहः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद् भारत पंकजं कलिमल pradvamsina shreyase mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripa tamaham vande paramananda madhavam yam brahma varunendra rudra marutaha स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः So last class we saw that Arjuna's conflict, Arjuna who is completely committed to dharma. Here Pandavas represented by Arjuna, just one person. And if he doesn't fight, the entire army doesn't fight. So why will a person like Arjuna, who's been nursing this what shall we say, insults for all these years since childhood, why will, and he who knows all about warfare and who is not one who is going to walk away from any fight, which is the duty of a Kshatriya, why will he stop, as they say, stop dead in one's tracks? So why will he do that? So we saw that commitment to dharma is there, and he saw all the people as dharmis on both sides of this war, and so he just was confused. He just dropped his bow and arrow, and so often we see that. So we see that in this picture, this chariot. Sometimes you see Arjuna not in the back of the chariot, but somehow kind of down below and at the feet of Krishna. Sometimes we see that picture. So that may be this particular situation where he's appealing for help. So when Arjuna does that, Krishna begins to actually taunt Arjuna. Taunt him. He said, wait a minute. You are somebody whom everybody looks up to. You are the de facto king of this kingdom, even though Duryodhana is ruling it. So Krishna tells him, wait a minute, this is not the time for you to talk this kind of language. At least if you had told me some time ago, and that you have doubts, and we could have discussed it. And on top of that, you dragged me into this, and I offered to drive your chariot, and it's going to bring me also insult. Like this, he keeps on taunting Arjuna. And he teases Arjuna that you are neither a male nor a female. Like this, he uses harsh words also. And so remember that the Bhagavad Gita contains these words, which we will see. And so some of Krishna's words in the Bhagavad Gita are not scriptural, if I can use that word, carefully use that word. Because Shastram doesn't necessarily mean scripture. We will see that later. So let's say it is not necessarily Vedanta statements. So here he is just giving a pep talk, giving a pep talk to Arjuna, saying, this is not right, you just have to get up and fight. And you're looking foolish, you're making everybody else look foolish. And so, because Shastram, when we say, that which stands the test of time and place is called Shastra. That which is applicable to all times and all places and to all people is called Shastra. That which gets invalidated cannot be called Shastra. So something to make a note of, that whose version has to be changed, like this Android version and iOS version keeps on changing. That can't be part of the Shastra. So therefore, now what Arjuna says, and Arjuna, when he hears this, he says, wait a minute, Krishna, you fought all enemies, but look at the front. Look at everybody in the front. You see Bhishma, Drona and all that. How can I fight all these people who are not only just related to me, but I revere all these people. I respect many of these people. And others are friends and so forth. How I can do this? And so Arjuna recognized that there was a problem, and he understood this problem of non-acceptance. I cannot see myself fighting this war. I don't feel adequate. There is a problem, I know, with me, because he understands Dharma also. So still he can't follow Dharma. And so he recognized the problem, and he even says things like, even if I go to heaven, then, because Krishna is going to say that, even if I go to heaven, there also I will carry the same problem with me. Look at that. Look at Arjuna's awareness, knowledge of our culture. He says, no, even if I go to heaven like this, I will have the same problems. This is why they say, as a human being, we have to address our problems when we are capable, which is now. And just because going to another place, another time is not going to solve those fundamental problems. And so then Arjuna offers himself as a student. For the first time in his life and Krishna's life, Krishna and Arjuna have been relating to each other for decades. Now he says, Aham te shishyaha. I am not just a student, but I am your student. He says very clearly, he says that right in the beginning, after all these things. So now the ball is in Krishna's court. So there are 3 words we use in Sanskrit for student. One is VidyArthi. VidyArthi. You all know that. So VidyArthi typically referring to a school going student or a college going student. Somebody who is learning some subject. And that person, and typically it's used for these worldly subjects, secular subjects, etc. And the person goes to class and then comes back and doesn't spend much time in class. Most of the reading is done. Studying is done outside the class. Then the second type of student is an Antevasi. Antevasi. An Antevasi is somebody who stays with the teacher, lives with the teacher. So those days, a lot of this learning was like this. Music also, the student used to kind of be with the teacher for hours together in a day. And living with the teacher means just imbibing the entire culture, imbibing the lifestyle, and just being part of it and then learning. So in this case, the student may not be able to fully grasp the subject matter, may not be even ready for the subject. Just happens to stay with the teacher and maybe listening to the teacher, etc. Then there is a third type of student called a Shishya. Shishya. And this person is qualified to learn the subject matter. This person is committed to learn. So there are not too many other pursuits. The person is clear. The person may be doing many other things, that is fine. But as far as the subject is concerned, the student is committed. Such a person is a Shishya. And Arjuna says, Shishyasteham, I am your student. And so that tells us that Arjuna considers himself qualified. He has heard about the Shastram, he's heard about Brahma Vidya and all these things. So he knows that he doesn't know something. Okay, he knows that there is something I don't know and I need to know. And somehow he seems to connect this confusion. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So somehow he seems to connect this the confusion he has to something he has to know more. I don't know enough. I'm missing something. They say, what am I missing, right? What am I missing? So this Arjuna is clear about what he is missing. And so now you have a qualified student, and then you have a teacher who also considers the student to be qualified. And of course, the teacher also should be qualified. Only then any proper teaching can begin. And that is how our Bhagavad Gita, or that is why the Bhagavad Gita begins. And, with so many chapters, 18 chapters, etc., it begins. And Krishna agreed to teach. So what a teacher will do, when there is genuine interest, if there is certain preparedness that is lacking. So preparedness is there, correct? In any subject we talked about earlier, there is always some preparedness needed. Preparedness is needed. So in order to study, geometry, you must know some algebra. In order to know algebra, you must know some English or some language. Tamil, Telugu, Hindi. For communication, you need any language is okay to learn mathematics. And so this preparedness is needed. And one must know to write that language. So that is how we learn these languages. Always there is a preparedness. There is a prerequisite. So if the teacher finds that some prerequisites are missing, then the teacher will, on a case by case, point out and help the student gain that while studying the Shastra. Because all of us are from different backgrounds, and we don't get exposed to the Shastra while we are, leading our life. And so suddenly we end up in a class, and then so backgrounds are all different. So we can expect that, I may not be fully prepared for this. Then what the teacher will do is this. I recall my own experience in school, and had a wonderful set of teachers in Hyderabad. And this physics teacher was there, Subbarao. And every word of physics, every idea of physics I learned was from him. And then there was a mathematics teacher also. And this teacher was good, but somehow he had this habit of dragging on for a long time. And in this 9th class and 10th class, when mathematics, we are beginning to study some more advanced things, he used to just teach one subject for 3 months, quadratic equations. Go on and on and on, and in the process, we lost a lot of time. And here the physics teacher relies on the mathematics knowledge to teach, and 10th, 11th, and he's teaching, important topics. And then what the physics teacher did? He actually began teaching mathematics for us. He conducted math classes for 4 months before he picked up physics. Can you believe that? Because he knew what I am going to teach will not work. It will be a waste of my time and the students' time if they don't know these things. And so that is still there in my mind. How much he did, how much that's the love for the knowledge, love for the commitment to the student. Everything comes along with it. So therefore, here in this dialogue also, Arjuna will ask questions and Krishna will address those specific questions. Now, Arjuna recognized that his problem is not ordinary. And he is not looking for a topical solution. You know, there are two kinds of solutions to any problem, right? Topical solution and a fundamental solution. Topical, it's a technical word. Topical means, you know, they have these ointments. It says topical, for topical application only. Means you apply it on your body somewhere, wherever there's an itch, you apply, etc. Okay. So this topical problem, something that addresses the current immediate problem, current symptom it addresses, and the body may have other problems, but this particular ointment simply takes care of the current symptoms I have. That's a topical ointment. So topical solutions, something that superficially addresses the symptoms, and for the time being it keeps you okay. That is a topical solution to a problem. Then there is fundamental solution also. So this we are all familiar with. So in medicine, especially when it comes to health, so we always struggle with this. Sometimes we need to quickly have head is aching. So I used to have this migraine headache. As a boy going to school, I used to have these headaches and splitting headaches. And the teacher used to call home, and somehow my mother used to come pick me up and all that. There used to be some severe episodes of these headaches. And it went on till my PhD and all that I was doing. And then I was working and I still had these headaches. And the headache would last for 2 days. Sometimes 3 days. I used to be off from work for 3 days. So some medicines I used to take. But then accidentally I came upon this book on headaches and types of headaches and all that. I said, why not study a little bit about headaches, And so then I began to learn a little bit. Then I began to observe what is it that's causing this migraine headaches. Then I found certain types of foods caused it, triggered it. Then I made a note of it and I started eliminating those triggers. And then this BKS Iyengar's yoga book I was following to do yoga. That is where I learned yoga from, Hatha Yoga. Then at the end of this book, he lists a lot of these ailments, alphabetical order. And headache or migraine headache was one of those things. And I looked it up and then he recommended few asanas. So I was ready to, do anything to get rid of this headache. So one of the asanas was Shirasasana. I said, you know what do we lose by doing Shirasasana? And so I actually learned to do Shirasasana by myself. In a corner of a room, I used to try, and I learned it. And then, believe it or not, after a few months, this migraine headache actually started disappearing slowly. And so, the search for a fundamental I don't know if this is fundamental thing or not, but it's definitely more fundamental than swallowing pills. So here also, Arjuna is there, he is in despair, and what is Krishna going to do? He can give some advice, right? He can give some advice, but he doesn't give advice. He says, okay, and he starts teaching. And he says in chapter 2, he says, there is no legitimate cause for grief. It's a very bold statement. There is no legitimate cause for grief. Hey, wait a minute. Headache, grief is there. And somebody passes away in the family, grief will be there. And the loss of a job, loss of a limb, etc., there is going to be sorrow. What are you saying? There is no legitimate cause for sorrow. So this is the journey we are getting into. And so pain is going to be there, and sorrow, we have to see what sorrow is. And so better to acknowledge sadness, better to acknowledge there are reasons why I am sad. But then here what is to be noted is, I am already sad inside. I may appear to look happy. I may appear very cheerful. I can always make myself look cheerful, correct? Correct, it's possible. So in class, I'm very cheerful. Then the class is over. And then I just go back to my room. And then I just cry. No, it's possible. Anything is possible. So the sadness is there in me. And frustration is there in me. The tendency to get disappointed is there in me. Tendency to get depressed is there in me. And then all I need is a trigger. Trigger. Nice word. I like that. So we're all making plans for this weekend. And family is there. Extended family has come and plans to drive to some resort. And then Friday morning comes and clouds are gathering. And it's getting darker, and by afternoon it's dark, and by evening thunderstorms are pouring like crazy. And they are giving an advisory, do not travel if you don't have to travel. Their advisories are very interesting. So they can't say don't travel because, a doctor may have to travel to the hospital. There are some essential jobs to do, but they give you advice. Now what? Now I'm sad. The family is sad because 2 days gone and all these plans washed out. So just I need that kind of a trigger. Simple change of weather is enough sometimes to make me cranky, like they say. That is enough. So here we say that I am already, that tendency to be frustrated, stressed, all that is there. And the trigger is all it takes for that emotion to manifest. Psychologically, yes, legitimacy is there for the sorrow. We accept that. But when we look at this sorrow dispassionately, objectively, Vedanta steps in and says that there is really no reason because you are Ananda Swarupa. So that's the beauty of Vedanta. So when I'm sad, I'm depressed, I go to a therapist, psychotherapist, and he or she listens to me and gives me some advice. And she listens and then she says, because these problems you have, because your father did not have time for you. Did not have time for you. And he comes late night, he leaves early in the morning, and you were aching for your father. And mother was unable to compensate for that. And so you are still You're still aching for love. That love that you needed as a child, you did not get. This is what the therapist tells you. And then what happens? So therefore, I have become I'm seeking love. And therefore, and my way of seeking love is by seeking attention. And I seek attention. I do things that seek others' attention. So this we find oftentimes. So doing something that is not expected, and therefore everybody looks at you. So seeking attention and constantly trying to prove oneself. All these things happen. And this is the insight the therapist gives me. And then now I know the cause of the problem. Apparently, I know the cause of the problem. And it relieves me to some extent because I don't have to blame myself. Oh, my father is to blame for all this. And if the therapy doesn't go well, then I may start arguing with my father. And now it creates a big fight at home. It's because of you everything happened, And you're a busy man. You say you're a professional and this and that. You earned all this money. The father says, yeah, if I didn't do all this, you won't be living in such a comfortable house. And this 3-4 bedroom and 2-floor flat. What do you think, son? Like that they argue. Yeah, but what is the use? What is the use? You didn't even pick me up with your hands. You didn't take me for a walk. Nothing. I'm completely disconnected with you. Like this big argument goes. Anyway, that is that. But some insights are given. They say for sorrow and all these problems, emotional problems. Okay, that is one level. But then the Shastra says you first accept your limitations. First get comfortable. You have to get comfortable with what's happening. How can I be comfortable with what's happening? Yeah, that is difficult. But just accept, okay, if not comfortable, accept all limitations, accept everything that's going on. Because what I'm going to tell you is you are the whole. There is nothing in the world except you, except Atma. Like this, the Shastra begins to say. And therefore it will say that sorrow is not legitimate. This is the journey we are in. That doesn't mean that sorrow is being suppressed. Suppression of sorrow is not good. It causes all kinds of problems. We know that. So it doesn't imply a suppression of sorrow, suppression of all the problems I have. No, not suppression. In fact, our Shastra, when we expose ourselves to the Shastra, we relax and everything comes out. Everything comes out. We become more and more normal. And so it's not that we are suppressing sorrow. It's not that Krishna, he is always a happy guy. He's always smiling and probably he never experienced sorrow. And so maybe that's why Krishna says there is no room for sorrow. And is that the thing? No, Krishna, that's not the reason here also. And despite that, Krishna is very much aware of the human life, human predicament. And so doing all that, he says this. And so that you are fully acceptable to yourself. So you are complete, you are whole. There is no reason, there is nothing, there is no inadequacy in you. Like that he's going to say. For which he will talk about two lifestyles. Two lifestyles. So one is called this exclusive pursuit of knowledge of Atma, self-knowledge, Brahma Vidya. And the other is called Karma Yoga broadly, which is a life of activity. So life of exclusive pursuit of knowledge, which implies renunciation, Sanyasa, Jnana Yoga, Sanyasa, means letting go of things. And the other lifestyle is Karma Yoga, a life of activity. So we will see all that. And so he's offering these two, and he says both are there. And Arjuna jumps at it and says, yeah, sure, I want, now that you have told me so much about Atma, I want to know. And so let go, continue to teach me, and then let's just walk away from this. This is the idea he has. And he also says, hey, you say knowledge liberates, knowledge liberates, and action binds. All this to be seen later. Action binds, knowledge liberates. Why do you make me fight this war? So Arjuna's arguments are all very solid arguments. And why do you make me fight this if you praise knowledge so much? And so Krishna had to tell him, no, these are not really options. It's not like you go somewhere and say, shall I have dosa or shall I have idli? Not that kind of an option. So like that, he is going to talk about. So, of course, Krishna begins teaching and didn't give advice, not like a consultant. Consultants give advice. And of course they do. They are meant to solve problems. But the consultant's job is to, his idea is that the client keeps coming back to him or her. That's how consultancy can keep on flourishing, If I solve all your problems in one shot and you never call me anymore, then what kind of consultancy is that? But Krishna doesn't think of that. He's teaching him completely so that Arjuna doesn't have to return to Krishna anymore. And so he becomes a teacher here in the Bhagavad Gita. So this Mahabharata is where the Bhagavad Gita is, and the way these things are set up around certain historical facts, a drama is woven, and so in Ramayana, for example, you have Dasharatha is real, Rama is real, so Kaikeyi is real, Kekaya kingdom is real, and all these, the marriage, the Putra Kameshti real, and children born, everybody real, Ayodhya real, and the capital of this entire kingdom, and Sarayu Nadi real, Rama was banished real, all that is real. So, but Valmiki wrote a poem, and Valmiki is not a historian. His job is not, historians what they do is they record everything and no more, no less. But Ramayana, you can't say no more, no less, because he's showing Ravana with 10 heads and it doesn't sound right to me. Now children, when we conduct classes to children, they ask all these questions. In India, we accept all this. But in America, the children will ask, but uncle, how a human being can have 10 heads? First question will come like this. So very interesting how a difference in culture makes people think differently. Is it not? So I think we saw that being a poet, he had the poetic license to portray Ravana in different way, in a way like this. Being a Brahmana cannot rule a kingdom. He can't be a king, yet Ravana was a king. There's a problem right there. And he's a Samavedi, etc. And he's supposed to be committed to Dharma, but he's a terror. He became a Rakshasa. Like this, demonic he is. So like this, too many contradictions, which probably Valmiki chose to show with as a person, conflicted person with so many conflicts in his head. So here also Mahabharata is there. They are called itihasa, where itihaas, thus indeed it was. So there are certain things we don't take literally in itihasa. Certain things are all real. And likewise, Mahabharata is considered to be historical poetry, itihasa. The Mahabharata is also called the Panchamo Veda, fifth Veda. Fifth Veda. Because it is complete. Because of the Bhagavad Gita, also it is complete. Without the Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata has a lot of topics. So it has this warfare and logistics. It has about society, there is discussion. It has a discussion about dharma, of course. And like this, it covers a lot of topics. And the way Vyasa presents all this, there is so much psychology involved in each person, each role that is being portrayed. Bhima is portrayed as a very unique person with a unique set of inclinations, moods, and capabilities and vulnerabilities. And everybody is portrayed. Dasharatha, another character, how he is portrayed, look at that. And so the entire portrayal is there and covering many topics. And on top of that, there is Bhagavad Gita also, which covers the topic which is covered in the Upanishads, which is the final kind of teaching, if you want to call it. And so, therefore, this is called Panchamo Veda. Mahabharata called Panchamo Veda. Complete. Even Ramayana doesn't nearly have as many topics as are covered in the Mahabharata. So, this Vyasa is an important link. Of course, he is the one who wrote the Mahabharata. And so there is a shloka which gives, we saw that in the Gita Dhyanam, Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe, gives importance to Vyasa. And there is also another shloka which talks about our parampara. The parampara in which we received this particular knowledge, this Brahma Vidya, and which is the shloka which I sent you in WhatsApp a bit earlier today. So if you have it with you, you are welcome to pull it up. We are going to chant that shloka now. So, Mahesh, you're unmuted, so go ahead and repeat after me. Let me know if you all have, just repeat after me. Narayanam Padmabhuvam Vasishtam Shaktincha Tatputra Parasharancha Vyasam Shukam Gaudapadam Mahantam Govinda Yogindram Athasya Shishyam Shri Shankaracharyam Athasya Padmapadancha Hasta Malakancha Shishyam Tam Totakam Vartikakaram Anyan Asmadgurun Santatamanatosmi. So it goes this way. Narayanam Padmabhuvam Vasishtam Shaktincha tatputra parasharancha Vyasam Shukam Gaudapadam Mahantam Govinda Yogindra Mathasya Shishyam Shri Shankaracharya Mathasya Padmapadancha Hastamalakancha Shishyam Tam Totakam Vartikakaramanyam Asmadgurun Santatamanatosmi. So here, starting from Narayana, entire lineage has been literally listed. Narayana, Vishnu, Padma Bhuvam, Brahmaji, Vasishta Muni, Shakti. So this is where Shakti is Maharshi. Then Tatputra Parasharancha. So the son of Shakti, who is Parashara Muni, whose son Vyasa, whose son Shuka, and then Gaudapadam. So in our lineage of teachers, Gaudapadacharya, who wrote the Karika for Mandukya, Gaudapada, his student Govindapada, and his student Shankaracharya. So Gaudapadam Mahantam Govinda Yogindra Athasya Shishyam Shankaracharyam. So Gaudapada, his Shishya Govinda Bhagavatpada, his Shishya Shankaracharya, and the 4 Shishyas of Shankaracharya listed here: Padmapada, Hastamalaka, Totaka, right? Padmapadancha, Hastamalakancha Shishyam, Tam Totakam, Vartikakaram. Vartikakara refers to Sureshwaracharya. And then Asmad Gurun, and all my teachers, all my acharyas, Santatam Anatosmi. I remain saluted always. Santatam means always. Always I remain saluted, worshipful to all this lineage starting from Narayana. So that is what this shloka says. And Vyasa is important, and because he codified the Vedas, and that's why he's called Veda Vyasa. And he made it available so that each family can pursue one Veda. And it takes a dozen years to study an entire Veda. And so to learn all the Vedas would be impractical even those days, even though there are Chaturvedis, and who Chaturvedi, as the name implies, they knew all the 4 Vedas. They were committed to all 4 Vedas. Just imagine, Chaturveda means entire life is spent studying the Veda, all Vedas, Rig, Yajur, Sama, and Atharvana. And so we still have Chaturvedis. It's just mind-boggling. That means they do nothing other. Their pursuit, just from morning to evening, it's all committed to the Vedas. Studying, teaching, studying. I don't know if they have time to teach, if they have to learn all this. And they also taught. Therefore, we know what a commitment this requires. And so this is why we worship Veda, not as the author of the Vedas, but as the compiler and the editor of the Vedas. So now, the Bhagavad Gita opens with Dhritarashtra asking a question. And this Sanjaya, his minister, is gifted. Dhritarashtra is not on the battlefield. There is no point in his going to the battlefield. And Sanjaya is gifted with this ability to see what is going on and even hear what is going on. And so this audio-visual capacity he has, like the television picks up signals and presents to us something, some show, like that Sanjaya is gifted too. And so he's asking this question: what is going on in this uh, in this Kurukshetra, in this war? Now, so let's chant this, and then so go ahead, Mahesh. Continue. Repeat after me. Dhritarashtra uvacha.
Dhritarashtra uvacha.
Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre.
Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre.
Samaveta Yuyutsavaha Mamakaha Pandavaschaiva Kimakurvata Sanjaya. Dhritarashtra uvacha Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyutsavaha Mamakah Pandavaschaiva Kimakurvata Sanjaya. So when you chant it, the second line, just be careful. I just split it and said Mamakaha and Pandavaschaiva. When you chant it together, you have to say Mamakah Pandavaschaiva. Okay. So here, Bhagavad Gita is in the middle of Mahabharata. It's not a separate piece of work. Whenever we start something, a piece of work, a grantha, like Mahabharata is, we start with a prayer. A prayer is always there. And every writer will do that. And Mahabharata, there is a prayer, prarthana. But here, there seems to be no prarthana for Bhagavad Gita. Because it is not there. It is there right in between. Now, we chanted Gita Dhyana. That was written much later. That was written about 400 years ago by Sri Madhusudana Saraswati. So that is Gita Dhyanam. That is our human offering to this Bhagavad Gita. So, but then there is an implied prayer. This shloka has an implied prayer. The first word here is Dhritarashtraha. Dhritarashtraha. So very intentionally put there. And it comes, it's part of our tradition. Everything starts with a prayer. And the Bhagavad Gita, even though part of the Mahabharata, still being a separate piece of text, which is like a pendant in a chain, in a necklace. And here is the pendant, on the bottom of the necklace. Like that pendant jewel, it stands out. Therefore, it deserves a prayer. And that prayerful word is Dhritarashtra. Dhritaha. Dhritaha means sustained, nourished, protected. So, dharti, in Hindi they say dharti for earth, dharti. So, dharti means that dhri dhatu is there. Dhri means to protect. Dhri, dharanam. So, dharti. So, nirdharanam. All this dhritaha. Dharani. Dharani is another name for Prithvi, earth. So here, dhrita means sustained, protected, like the earth protects us. And earth is so, it is, what word can you use for earth? It protects all life in the solar system at least. And so, dhritam, and then rashtra. Rashtra can mean a state, it can mean a country, it can mean kingdom, and it also means the entire universe, Rashtra. So, Dhrita Rashtraha, The one who sustains this world is Dhritarashtra. The one who sustains the universe is Dhritarashtra. So Ishvaraha, Parameshwaraha, Paramatma, Bhagavan. That is the meaning of Dhritarashtra. And of course, it also means. So one is a Rudhyartha, another is a Vyutpatyartha. There are three meanings. For every word, there are two types of meanings. One is Rudhyartha. Rudhi means when I tell you a word, what does it reveal to you? When I say Dhritarashtra, what do you think of? You don't think of the sustainer of this world. You don't think of that. You think of Duryodhana's father, Dhritarashtra. That is called a Rudhyartha. Rudhyartha means immediate meaning. What it generally refers to. Then there is something called Vyutpatti Artha. Vyutpatti Artha means what is the literal meaning of the word? If you ask, then that is what I just described to you. That is Narayana. That is Parameshwara. That is Ishvara. That is Bhagavan. One who sustains this world. Dhritarashtra. Okay. So Dhritarashtra Vacha. And now, we just have to cover a little bit. This prarthana is there. Whenever we start, there is a prarthana. For any successful activity, for any successful accomplishment, successful mission, three aspects are needed. One is effort. Prayatnam is needed. One has to put in an effort, no doubt. Then there is kala, time. Second aspect is time. So, we are growing a garden outside. So garden outside means what? You can't simply get things. You can't sow the seed today and tomorrow you just get what you want. It doesn't work like that. So some fruits, some flowers grow very quickly. Some flowers take a while. Some fruits grow quickly. Some fruits take a while, years to grow. And a coconut tree means, my goodness, you grow and then after 5 years it gives one fruit, 4 years, 5 years. And then it starts multiplying only after that. So kala is needed. Time is needed. You have to wait it out. So we all know that. So prayatna, kala. Then there is a third aspect called daivam. Prayatna, kala and daivam. What we say is, this unseen factor, I can try. I am a person with limited knowledge. All human beings are persons with limited knowledge. With that limited knowledge, I do certain things. So I know if I sow some seeds like this in the garden, and the plant will need some water. It also needs sunshine. And I will do that. I will give all that. And sunshine, of course, who am I to give sunshine? And the sun just comes and goes and the plant seems to want it. And fertilizer, all that I can give. But then whether the plant will actually grow, whether it will yield any flower or any fruit is anybody's guess, as they say. Anybody's guess. Interesting phrase. Anybody's guess means you can't really say with certainty that this thing is going to grow, and even if it is going to grow, whether the fruits are going to come or not, we don't know. That aspect we call daivam. All unknown factors that are there, which are important in any phenomenon, in any result, any growth, in any event, those are all attributed to daivam. Everything can be attributed to daivam. But because I say I did this and I did that and I cooked the food, etc. Since we say that, we can say, okay, everything else. Food is cooked. So some days the food is tasty, other days it's not tasty. It's not that this person is a good cook anyway. But why sometimes it's not that tasty? If you ask, it's all Devam. Tasty food also is Devam. And some days it's a little different. So that Bhagavan tries to remind us, okay, look, there is somebody, don't ignore the cook. The person who cooks at home, don't take them for granted. So once in a while, that person is not available. So Daivam. So therefore, that prarthana is important. Dhritarashtra Uvacha. So implied prayer in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. That is how Bhagavad Gita begins. So we will stop with that here today and then continue the next class. So today what we saw is, we saw further the context of the Bhagavad Gita, and we saw that Arjuna recognized that a problem that he had, and it's a problem for which he was seeking a fundamental solution. Otherwise, why would he say, I am your student? Suddenly, where the student teacher came about, here he is just standing in the middle of a battlefield. What is this problem? Why doesn't he say? He doesn't say, Krishna, help me. All these words he doesn't use. So we saw that particular attitude of Arjuna as a student. Arjuna saw a student in him, and therefore a teacher in Krishna, and that's how this teaching came about. And we saw the lineage of the parampara in which we have this tradition, and then we began the first shloka of the Bhagavad Gita. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.